Can you see my screen, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we will discuss socket programming in C. So today's lab will address this question: what mechanisms are available for a programmer who writes network applications, and how to write a network application that sends data packets between the hosts or between any devices across a network. So the answer to this question is Socket API. API is Application Programming Interface. So if you want to write network application or application for the network, then you have to write socket programming. And how you can write socket programming? By using socket application programming interface, socket API. You can see here server computer is present here and client computer. These two are connected by IP network. IP network means network which uses internet protocol, and we know that internet uses TCP/IP protocol, so that is IP network. The network that uses TCP/IP protocol is IP network. So for network programming, we use socket application programming interface. So what is API? API is actually a set of functions and structures. Okay. Before going to socket programming, you must know the TCP/IP model. In fact, we have already discussed the TCP/IP model in theory class. So 5 layers are there. Actual 4 layers are there, but we can also say 5 layers when we are comparing with OSI model. So these are the layers. Here 4 layers are shown for a TCP/IP model. And suppose we have a computer here, and this side we have another computer. And then they are using these layers, and these layers are having protocols. Protocols are used for communication. In this diagram, you see in application layer, the applications are there that the users are writing. We are writing the applications in the application layer. Example of applications, you see browser, game, FTP, all these are the application layer processes or applications. And then below this application layer, we have other layers, transport layer, network layer, and all these layers are having protocols. And then below this, we have a link layer. So this application layer is managed by the user, and this transport layer, network layer, these are present in the operating system. So our application uses these layers from the operating system, right? And in link layer, we have network interface card that is used to connect to the network. So the network API we are using for developing the network applications. So what is an API? It is set of functions, data structure, and constants. The desirable characteristics of network API is should be simple to use, should be flexible, and it should be standardized. So the application programming interface for the network programming is socket. Okay, so we are using socket for programming the network application, and we will use C programming for this socket programming. So basically, this socket provides a mechanism to communicate between the computers in a network, and it is an interface between the application layer and the transport layer. And different types of sockets are there. Like we have DARPA internet address socket, it is known as internet socket. Then we have Unix socket, and other sockets are there. But in your lab, we will discuss this internet socket, right? As I told you, that socket is the endpoint of communication in a network. See, when you are communicating with your friend, the endpoint of communication is created by the socket. So, socket is the endpoint of communication, and it is, if you see it in the layers of TCP/IP model, it is in between the application layer and transport layer. You can see here. So it is the interface between the application layer process and transport layer. So this is a server and this is client computer, and in both the computers sockets are there. So socket means it is endpoint of communication, right? So it provides this socket API is there, and this is used for writing the program, right? These four layers, downward layers, from transport to physical layer, all these are present in the kernel space of the operating system, and this application layer process are present in the user space. Okay, and these two computers are connected by internet. Different types of sockets are there. Among them, these are two important sockets. Like one is your stream socket, and the other one is datagram socket. Stream socket is connection oriented. That means before data communication, a dedicated path is first established between the two computers, and then data transfer takes place. And this stream socket uses TCP protocol. The next one, datagram socket. It is connectionless, and here data transmission is not guaranteed. This is connectionless. Okay, because here before transmission, no path is established. Just address is attached with the data packet, then it is sent, and the data packet will reach the destination through different paths. So in a network, devices or computers, they are connected, and devices, they communicate with each other. Now, how to identify a device in a network? For identifying a device, we use the names and addresses computer. So computer means you can also say it as a host. Host name, IP address, and port number. All these are the names we are using to identify computer or host in a network. Host name, it is a string name. For example, we are using domain name like google.com, and IP address is a numeric name or address that we are using. And then port number, it is used to identify a specific process running on a computer. So all these are required to identify a device or computer connected to the network. So whenever two devices they want to communicate with each other, then we must have a mechanism to identify the computers first, right? So these are the addresses and names that we will use in socket programming. We may use 32-bit address, IP address, or we may also use 128, 100, 128-bit address for IP version 6 also. And port number is 16-bit, right? So in socket API, in C, there are several predefined structures and predefined functions are there that we will use while writing the socket program. So these are the structures, predefined structures. SOC ADDR is one of the predefined structure. It is used to hold the socket information. And so which type of socket, which family of socket, this information is used to store. Then socket address, SOC ADDR in. This structure is used to store socket address information, and we can reference the address like IP address, port number, all these information we can access by using these structures, socket ADDR. The next is in ADDR, the structure stores a 32-bit IP address, and this structure is present inside the structure, socket ADDR. So nested structure is used here. Inside the structure is used. This is outer structure, this is inner structure. Right? So this structure contains port number and this structure and some other elements are present in this structure. Okay. This structure contains the IP address. Right? And there is another structure, host ENT. It is used to keep information related to host. That means host name and then other information also kept here. Then serve ENT. So this structure is used to store uh, the services running on the computer and on which port which service is running. All this information is present in this structure, serve ENT. So this is the first structure, SOC ADDR. This one, SOC ADDR is the structure. This one, it's a pretty fun structure. This is the structure. See, two members are there here. SA family, it is actually socket family, and then socket address data. This is socket address family, socket address data. Two members are present here in this structure. Actually, different family of sockets are there. Like we have IPv4, IPv6, and we have Unix socket, okay, internet socket. So different types of sockets are there. So which family of socket you are going to write or create? Uh, Accordingly, you have to use these values, right? If you want to create a socket, internet socket, then you have to use this AF underscore INO. And this is used to keep the address. Okay, the IP address and port number is stored in this address. And socket ADDN, it is used to store this port number, again the socket family. Okay, and here nested structure is there. Okay, for the IP address, and one extra member SYN0 is used. This is not used actually. Uh, it is actually filled with the null value. Okay, when it is not used. This is not used actually. Okay. Okay. So actually here we use these three members. Okay, and this is not used. Okay, then in underscore ADD here, this is the structure that contains the IP address. Okay, so this is the member of the structure. It is used to store the IP address. You can use 32-bit address or your 128-bit address also you can use. Host NT, as I told you that it is used to keep information related to a host, like host name, host alias, address, which type of address it is using, address length, okay, and address list. So many information it can keep. And these are the description of all the members of the structures. Okay. Servant, it is used to store the service that is running on the computer and on which port the service is running, right? We see service name, service alias, port number on which it is running, then protocol, which protocol it is using, so all this. Okay. So now,
Structures
yes,
are pretty or we need to define, declare
yes,
different.
tell. What is your question?
I'm asking that the structure servant,
Structure?
these structures are predefined or we need to
No,
define
no, no,
them.
no, 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 no. These are already predefined. You just use this. Can use these structures, right? You will just use these structures for when you will write the socket program. You will just use these structures. All these are predefined.
Okay, sir.
So let's discuss the first socket program. Um, the TCP socket, stream socket. So two types of sockets I told you. One is your stream socket, the other one datagram socket. So first we will discuss the stream socket. And stream socket is a connection oriented socket. It is using the TCP protocol because TCP is a connection oriented protocol, right? Any message? I think no message. Okay, so first we will discuss the stream socket, and stream socket uses the TCP protocol. Okay, so here we have two computers, one server computer and the other one is client computer. This is your server computer, and this is TCP server because it is using TCP protocol. So TCP server, this is TCP server, and this is TCP client, and these are the some predefined functions you can see used for writing the TCP server program, and these are the predefined functions used to write the TCP client program. Okay, so for TCP socket program, see in socket programming we have a client and we have a server. Okay, so two computers are there; they're communicating. Client is communicating with the server. So the job of server is server will uh, process the task of client. Server is running always, and it accepts the request from the clients, and then it will process the request of client. Okay, so client will send request to the server, and server will process the request of the client and send the um, executed task to the client, right? So this is the server and this is client, right? So many client can be connected to a single server, right? Like we are accessing Google server for many services, right? So same thing, same concept. So these are the functions used in the server side program. Okay, I already told you that the socket API is there, so that allows us to write program here. So socket API has some predefined functions and predefined structures. So structures we already discussed, and these are the functions. All these are functions, predefined functions present in the socket API used for writing the socket code. So at the server end, these are used, these functions, and client side, these functions are used, right? Now this, so the first function used is the socket. Okay. I told you that socket is the end point of communication, right? So client is there, server is there. So you want to make them communicate with each other. First of all, you have to create the endpoint of communication, right? So this is one endpoint, this is another endpoint. So how to create endpoint of communication by using this socket function, right? So after creating the endpoint, we must attach the address information with the endpoint, right? So for attaching the address information in the endpoint, this function is used, bind function, right? So which address are attached? The IP address and port numbers are attached, right? So here this function is used to attach the IP address and port number with the endpoint. Okay, endpoint is created by using socket function, then address attached by using bind function, and then after attaching the address, the server should listen to the client request, right? So to make the server to listen to the client request, this function is used, listen function, right? So many clients may be there, multiple clients may be there. So multiple clients will send request to the server. So server must listen all the client request. So to do that, this function is used, listen function. And you see this side, client is there. So client endpoint also we need to create. So here endpoint is created, client using socket function. And then what client will do, client will send a connection request to the server, right? So here you see client is sending connection request to the server, and server will accept the request from the client, and it will connect to this server. This server will connect to this client. Okay, will allow the client to connect it, and then it will send a reply message to the client. Okay, that's why see here it's a three-way handshake protocol. TCP is a three-way handshake protocol. So three-way handshake protocol means client will send a request, server will accept that request, and then it will connect and reply back with the acknowledgement that connection established. So that's why it is three-way handshake. TCP is a three-way handshake protocol. So it sends a connection request by using connect function, then that request is received by the server, okay, by using accept function, then connection is established, then it is sending a reply message to the client. That connection is established. And after the connection established, then data can be exchanged. Now see client TCP client is sending a data message to the server here by using write function. Okay. And see here one difference is that TCP server side we are using bind function, listen function, accept function after socket. But here at the client side after socket function, connect function is used, right? So no bind, listen, accept function is used because client will not listen, server is listening, and client will always send its request to the server. Client will first send the connection request, and then it will send its task to data. It will send the data to the server for processing. Right. That's why here only connect function is used after the socket function. But at the server side, socket, then bind, then listen, then accept function is used, and after that, uh, after the connect function here is used at the client side, the connection will be established between server and client, and then data exchange is done here. So for sending data, write function is used. So how to send data? We will actually data need to be written to the endpoint. So here endpoint is created by socket. Okay, then now we need to write the message. The clients should write the message with the endpoint, and that message will go to the server. So for sending a message, you need to write the message on the endpoint, and that will go. So for writing the message, this write function is used, right? So write function is used to send the message, and read function is used to read the message received from the remote computer. Okay. So both the server and client they are using this write and read functionality. First, this client sends the message, okay, data is sent here. See, write message is used. Then this message is read by this TCP server received by using read function. Okay. Then that is processed here. Okay. Then again, the server is sending a message by using write function, and that message is coming here to the client, and here it is read by this read function. Okay, and then see its task is completed because the client had sent one message to be processed. It is processed and reply it received here. Then it suppose that the client wants to close the connection because doesn't have any more work to do, so it will close the connection. So it is using close function. Close function is used to close the connection. Now, once the close method or function is used, a end of file notification or close notification will be sent. So it is going to this server, and here it again reads the message. Okay, and then connection is closed here. Okay, it is again using the close function to end the connection. So this is how a TCP socket program looks like. Okay. So these are the functions used at the TCP server end. These functions are used in this order. First socket function, then bind, then listen, then accept. Okay, then at the client side, first socket, then connect function. And after that, the server and client, they will send and receive messages by using write and read method or function. Okay? And after their communication is over, they will use this close function to disconnect, right? Okay. So you remember the what functions are used for which purpose and in which order they are used. Okay. You just remember that at the server side, these functions are used, and at the client side, these functions are used. And at the client side, we only use socket. After that, connect function we use. But at the server side, we are using these functions, right? Now the question should be asked from your side that why we are not using all these functions here on the client side also. This is because server is listening actually from the client side. Okay, so server will listen. So we need to attach the address of the server to the endpoint here, so that this client will connect to this address. Okay, server is not connecting to the client. Client is connecting to the server. That's why address information of server is required. So that need to be bound here with this. That need to be attached with this socket. Okay. Then server will listen to many clients, but client is not listening to many servers. Okay. Right. So this is the reason why this bind function, listen function, and accept functions are used here at the server side. On client side, only connect function is used. Okay. And read write function used for why? No. Okay. Okay. Any questions, friends? Okay, no question. So these are the functions I just discussed in the previous slide. Here one more function B0 is also used. This is used to set all the elements of the structure to null values. Okay. Now let's discuss the write and read function here. See, uh, this is the write function. Okay. So write function syntax is here, and this write function is present in this header file on std.h. And the arguments of this write function, you see, this is the function declaration, right? It's a predefined function, and its declaration is like this, right? So first argument is, see, it's a file descriptor. So this is actually a value or a number, integer number, that is used to access the socket endpoint. This one, okay, where you want to send message or write message. Then see, buffer is there. So this is a pointer, okay, of a void type, constant void. So whenever you want to write a message to the endpoint, so that message uh, you need to pass by this. Okay, suppose you have a character array that contains the message. Okay, so when you will call this write function to send a message, so you have to pass the second argument. You have to pass your address of that message. You need to pass here. Okay, first argument you need to pass the integer or the variable that contains the integer, which is used to identify the socket. Okay, and then this one, the third argument, it is for the size of the message, right? The next function is read function. It is used to read the message received from the remote computer, right? It is also present in this header file, and the syntax for read function is read and file descriptor. Okay, see here. This is also the integer number that is used to access the endpoint. Okay. Then here see buffer. So after you read from the endpoint, the message will be written here in this buffer. Okay. So the buffer where you want to write the message after reading, its address you need to pass here, right? And, then this is size of the message. Okay, in bytes. Now let's see the example of using this read and write function. So this is the write function example. So here, suppose we want to send a integer value. Okay, so how to send? First, see, the value is taken from the keyboard by using scanf function. So %d, %num1, right? And then this num1, the value of num1 will be sent using this write function. So how we send? We will use this write function, and the arguments that you will pass to this function is this. Okay, so first is sockfd. Sockfd is the socket endpoint, okay, where you will send the message. Okay, then this is the, you need to pass the second argument. address of the message. Okay, so here this is the message num1. Okay, and its address you need to pass, because see, right is a pointer, right? So you need to pass the address of the message. So that's why here address is passed, and then the last argument you have to pass the size of the message. So that's why it's integer. So size of int is written, right? And this write function is returning an integer value on successful execution, and yes, it is returning a positive integer, right? Greater than zero value uh, on successful execution, and it will return a negative value if it is not executed successfully. So whatever it is written, it is stored in N1. Okay, and you can just check whether executed successfully or not. If N1 value is less than zero, that means there is some error, right? So you just print the error and execute. Similarly, the read function you see here, the first argument is the socket endpoint, sockfd. Okay, this one, socket, and then again the second argument is the address of the buffer you need to pass where the message you will store, right? So this is the address number, ampersand number. Then size of the buffer you have to write here. Okay, so here it is an integer variable, so size of it is written. And then same thing is here. It is returning positive integer value on successful execution and negative value on error. So you're checking here there is error or not. Okay, where there is error and send value less than zero, then you just print the error message, right? Then exit. So this is how you can send and receive message on the sockets. Okay. Any questions, students? Okay. Then next, socket function. The socket function is used to create the endpoint, as I told you. See how socket function is used. So the socket function syntax you see in socket, in domain, in type, in protocol. Right. Domain means which type of socket is it. Okay. It is a internet socket or Unix socket. Okay. And IPv4 socket or A6 socket. So based on that, you will means which type of socket you want to create. Accordingly, you have to pass this argument. Right? Whenever you will call this socket. So see, socket you are calling why for creating the endpoint, and we'll use this function. We'll call this function. You have to pass this arguments. If you want to create the IPv4 socket, then yeah, an internet socket with IPv4. Okay, then you have to pass this AF underscore INET. Okay, and for IPv6 you have to pass this one AF underscore INET 6. Right, and the socket function is present in this header file socket.txt, right? And see, this is the example. Yes, the second argument here is the type, which type of socket you want to create. Like we have a stream socket, then we have this datagram socket also. Okay, stream socket uses TCP and datagram socket uses UDP protocol. For stream socket, we have to use this keyword sockstream. For datagram socket, you have to use this sockdgram, right? And stream socket uses TCP protocol, datagram socket uses UDP protocol, right? This third field is the protocol field, right? So you have to pass these values accordingly uh, based on what type of socket you want to create, right? Here in this case, see the example socket function called here, and then AF underscore INET passed for IPv4 internet socket. Then sock stream is passed for stream socket. Okay, and then last argument you need to pass the protocol that will be used here, since it's a sock stream socket. So TCP protocol you used. Okay, you can pass TCP or you can write zero also. So if you write zero, then it will by default take the required protocol. Okay, accordingly, right? If you write zero here, it will take it will automatically take whatever protocol it requires, right? And then this socket function also returning a positive integer on successful execution. Okay, so that value is stored here in this socket, and then you can check whether it is executed successfully or not, right? The endpoint is created successfully or not. If it is created successfully, then this value should be positive value. If not, there is some error, then this value should be negative value. Then you check here whether it is negative or positive. If negative, then you just print this error message and exit, right? So this is your socket, okay? And this socket function is used to create the endpoint. After you create the endpoint, then that endpoint will be accessed by using this integer value, right? This is returning integer value that is stored here in sockFD. So that same value is used to access or to reference the endpoint. Okay. Then bind function is used. So bind function is used to attach the address information with the endpoint. Okay, this is the syntax of bind function. Okay. So first you have to pass this socket endpoint, then address uh, of the server or computer that you want to attach with the endpoint. That its address you need to pass here, and then you have to pass its length of the address, right? Then listen function syntax is this. So listen, then here first is endpoint, okay, socket endpoint value you have to pass here. Then backlog means the number of connection it will accept, right? So this listen function will accept this many number of requests, okay? And it is also returning integer value, okay? Then connect function, this is used by the TCP client, okay? And the syntax for this connect function is this. First argument is sockFD, then second is your address, okay? It is pointed to the server address. So you need to pass, when you will call this connect function, you need to pass address of the server address, okay? And its length also you have to pass that argument, right? Then accept function used by the server. So the first argument is your socket endpoint value. Okay. Then second argument is your client address. Okay. So here this is a pointer of this type. Okay. So you have to pass a client address, and then length of client address you have to pass when you will call this accept function. And close function syntax you see here. So you have to call this close function and pass the endpoint value here which you want to close, right? Then B0 function is also used. This is used to initialize the members of a structure with a zero value. Okay. Structure or any other data structure, so you can assign zero value, right? Or null value. Now let's discuss the first program, TCP socket program. Okay, so we have a server, TCP server, and we have a TCP client. So now I will discuss this server code first, right? So can anyone tell me what are the functions we will use in the server side? The functions we are going to use on this server side. First function we'll use socket, right? Then second function. Hello students, are you listening me or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what function we'll
Yes, sir.
use at the server side? We'll use first socket function, then bind, then listen, then accept, okay? And then read write message, read write function will be used. Okay, then close at the server side, right? So I am going to discuss the server side code first. Okay. So this is a TCP server code. Right? So main function started, and I have used here command line argument also because I'll pass. Uh, Actually, client will pass the IP address of the server and port number where it wants to connect. So that's why here I've used RC and RB, right? You may or may not use this. Okay. If you want to use command line argument, then you can use this, right? Okay. Then here some variables are declared. So socket used to this here you can see socket used for the server endpoint. Okay. Server endpoint will be created and the integer value to reference the server endpoint will be stored here in this variable socket. Then for referencing the client endpoint, okay, this new socket variable is used, right? Port number is stored here in this variable. Client address length will be stored here in this variable. Then buffer, you see it's a character array buffer, 256 size. Okay, so it is used to store the message. Okay. Then um, some predefined structures are used, as I discussed earlier. This structure is used, socket ADI in. Okay, so here the variable of this structure is declared as struct socket ADR in, then serve ADR, comma client ADR. Okay, so this serve ADR is used for the server side address. Okay, information means IP address and port number, and this is display ADR is for the client address information. Okay, and all addressing information is present in this structure socket ADR, right? Okay. Then some other variables are declared n, and the port number also here initialized 5001 is taken as port number. Okay. So now all declaration is complete. The first function should be called is your socket function. It is called here, you can see. And when you will call the socket function, so why socket function is used? It is used to create the endpoint of communication. So here endpoint of communication is created by using this socket function, and while calling the socket function, what arguments will pass? First argument, see, since I am using creating the internet socket of IPv4 and it's a string socket and using TCP protocol, so these parameters are passed. You see, AF underscore INET, then second argument sock string is passed, and third 0 is passed. So if 0 you write here, then it will automatically take the required protocol, right? Otherwise, you can write here specific protocol also. Now, this socket function will return. So, what this socket function will return? Can anyone tell me? Socket function?
0 or -1.
No, this will return integer value. Okay. So, the value may be positive or greater than 0 or less than 0. So, if it is a positive integer, then the endpoint is created successfully. If it is less than 0, then the endpoint is not created. There is some error, right? And that the integer value that is created here, that is written by this function, that value is used to reference the endpoint. Okay, if you want to access the endpoint, you can use that value. So that value is stored here in sockFD. Okay, so next time whenever you want to access the endpoint of communication for the server, you have to use the sockFD, right? You want to send message or you want to receive message on that endpoint, then you have to use this variable socket because this contains the value. It is a value returned by this function, okay, and which is used to access the endpoint. Okay. Okay. Now, if it is negative, then there is some error. Just check here. If it is negative, just print this error and exit, right? Then we need to, after socket function is used, the endpoint is created. Now you need to attach the address information with the endpoint. So what address will attach? The IP address and port number. And for that, we have to use the bind function. But before using bind function, we need to initialize the address elements. Okay. So the SORB ADDR structure contains the elements of the address information, so that you need to initialize. First of all, you have to initialize with the null value by using this B0 function, okay, and just pass this SORB ADDR variable of the structure type, okay, and then it will initialize with the null value. And after that, you just initialize all the values with the value you want. So AF underscore INET is the family value we are assigning to this structure variable, okay, SYN family. Then IP address is serve underscore ADDR dot SYN underscore ADDR dot is ADDR. So here the IP address is assigned to this variable. It's a nested structure, I told you. Okay. So what value we are assigning here? See 127.0.0.1 is assigned. So this is the IP address of the local server. Okay. If you want to make your own computer, local computer as the server, then you can use this IP address. Okay. The IP address of the local server means the same computer will act as the server. Okay. So the IP address is this one, 127.0.0.1. You may also use the specific address of the same computer here, or you may also use this in ADDR any also. If you use this keyword, then it will automatically take whatever IP address is there for that computer. Okay. Then yes, then next port address is also assigned to the SYN port, right? And here one function is used, h2n is function is used because to convert uh, data in a computer, the host is the host specific, okay, and when it goes to the network, it should be converted to the network format. So to convert to the network format, this function is used, host to network specific, okay. Okay, so here port number is assigned, the IP address is assigned. Now you can attach these addresses, this address information to the endpoint. So how to attach? By using bind function. Okay, and while calling the bind function, you just pass the arguments. So what argument? First argument should be the socket endpoint. So socketfd, you have just store that value here, written by the socket function. Okay, the socketfd you pass here. Then second argument you have to pass the address of the address. Okay. So ampersand sub ADDR you have to pass because sub ADDR is the address of the server. So you have to pass here and then typecast this of this type. Okay. And size also you have to pass here. And then you're checking whether it is less than 0 or not. If it's there. So in each condition we are keeping all this. So if the value is, I mean, address is attached successfully, then it will return a positive value, and if it is not attached successfully, then it will return a negative value. Okay. So you say just check the value whether it is negative or positive. So less than 0 means negative. If it is negative, then you print the serial message and exit. Okay. Otherwise, it will be attached, right? Okay. The next is after bind function, what you'll use? You'll use the listen function. So listen function, while calling listen function, you have to pass the socket endpoint. Socket is the endpoint. You pass this, and then the number of connection that it will accept, that value also you have to write. So suppose this will accept 5 connections, so 5 is written, right? Then a message is printed. Server is listening. Okay. Then for client, okay, to accept the client request, we require the client address length. So for that, size of client address also we have found, okay, and that is stored in client area. So see, whenever this listen function is used, okay, client will send request to the server. Server is listening, and server will listen the or accept the client request. So in that request, actually client address is coming. Okay. So that is stored in this CLI ADDR variable. Now you find the size of that address and store in this variable. Okay. Now um, after the request is coming, server should accept that request. Now how to accept the request? By using accept function. Okay. And accept function is used here, and you need to pass the argument. First argument socket you have to write, and then you have to write the client address of the client address, okay, and then its line also pass, and then this accept function will return the socket endpoint of the client. Okay, so it will return a integer value which is used to reference the socket endpoint for the client. Okay, so this is the socket endpoint. It is returned for the client, and that is stored in the new socket, right? And you check whether that value is negative or not. If it is negative, then there is some error. Otherwise, it is good. Okay. Then after that, the connection is established. Okay. And if the connection is established, then uh, the read-write message will be done. Okay. Data will be sent and received. So suppose client has sent some data to this server. So how to receive that message? By using the read function. So this is the read function is used. So read and new socket, then buffer, then size of the message. So why new socket is written? Because it is receiving message from the client, and this new socket is used for the client endpoint. And buffer is the character that is used to store the message read. So after reading the message, that is stored here in the buffer. And before writing in this buffer is made 0 by using this b0 function. Okay. Okay. Then if there is some error, then you check here and print the error message, otherwise not. Then uh, whatever message the server is receiving, that is printed here by using this printf function. Buffer. So message that is read is stored in this buffer that is printed here, right? Now suppose server will send a message to the client, then it will use this write function. So write is used here, right? Then what you need to pass? You need to pass the socket endpoint um, reference or uh, value, okay, integer value, or the variable that holds that integer value you need to pass. So this one is that value, so that is passed here. It's a variable actually that stores that integer value. You need to pass that, and then you need to pass the address of the message, or you can directly write the message also, and then size of the message. Okay, and then again check here whether the value that is returned by this write function whether it is less than 0 or not. If it is less than 0, then there is some error in exit. Otherwise, it is working fine. That's good. Okay. So then return 0 for me. So this is all about your server code. Okay. Now let's discuss the client code. Now these are the header files used. Okay, and here see some variable declarations are done here, right? And buffer is also declared here. Okay. This size port number 5001 same. So the port number should be same for the client and server, right? Now the first function you have to use is your socket function. The socket function is called here, and then uh, is the same argument you have to pass af underscore init, then sock string, then 0 you have to pass. Okay. Then it is returning the integer value that you need to store some variable. So here sockfd is the variable that stores the endpoint information, right? And then this is same, you know this, and now you need to assign or initialize the address information of the server where you want to connect, means where this client will be connected. Now, before initializing the address information, you need to first initialize the null value. So here, it is initialize null value as in v0. Then family is attached. Family information is attached here. Okay, SIN family. Then port number is assigned here. Okay. Then IP address is assigned here. See, IP address, port number of the server, right? All these are server address, right? To which this client will be connected. And then now connect function is used. Okay, and again we are passing this argument sockfd. Okay, endpoint you have to pass. Then server address of the server address you have to pass here, right? And then length of the server address also you have to pass. And then you check whether it is less than 0 or not. Okay, then this message is printed if there is some error. Now client is asking to enter some message, so you just print this message. Okay, please enter message, and then you will enter the message through the keyboard. Okay? And that will be stored in this buffer, right? So std in fgets function, why it is, you know. So we can just enter the message from the keyboard that will be stored in this buffer. Okay, and its size is 256 bytes, right? And before you write the message in the buffer, you need to make it its value 0. Okay, it is initialized to 0, and after that you enter the value of a message that is stored in buffer, right? Now the message is present in this buffer. Okay, and now we want to send this message to the server. So how to send? By using this write message write function. So you see it is used here. sockfd the endpoint, so you have to pass the endpoint, and then buffer message, this need to write. Okay, and then length of the message is written, right? So the second argument should be address. You see, it should be address of the message. Okay. So since this buffer is a character array, so this name of the array is a address. Okay. So just name is written for that purpose, right? Now after sending message, server will again send the message. Okay, if you want to read the message, then you can use this read function. So here read function is used, right? Then if there is some error, then you please print this error message. Otherwise, if there is no error, then you have received the message, then you can print the message here like this. Okay, using printf function, right? So this is the end of this client program. Okay, so with this server code and client code is complete. Then how to run this code? You can run this code this way. Okay, so first you have to write the server code and save it with some name. Okay, example here I have saved server.c. Okay, then client code you have to write and save it with some name, right? So client.c I have written here, right? And then you can compile the code and run. So better you keep server code and client code in different directory. Okay, if you keep in one same directory, then See, whenever you compile the code in Linux, so the object code is stored in the a.out file. So if you keep both the server code and client code in the same directory, and after you compile, you will get the a.out only, so it will be overwritten actually. So both the server and client code will be overwritten. So better use in different directories. You keep client code and server code in different directories. Otherwise, if you are keeping in the same directory, you just rename the object code like this. You just like this. Okay. You compile the code by writing this G++ or CC, whatever you are using compiler. You write that, and you see server.c is the server code. Okay, and minus o then server. So the object code will be stored in this file server. Okay, then you can run the /server. Similarly, the client code, you compile this way G++, then client.c, then space minus o, then client. So the object code will be stored in this client file. Okay. And then you can run this /client and see whenever you are calling running the client. According to this program, we are actually passing. We need to pass this IP address of the server and port number of the server. So, any questions, students? There are some reference you can follow. Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. Let me show you how to run this code. Okay. I'm going to run the same code.